That brings us to the back page today, which is brought to you by Right Team Services. Right Team Services helps schools, small businesses, and nonprofits turn ideas into impact through clear messaging, effective writing, and strong connections across websites and social media. When you need results but don't quite have the words to say, let Right Team Services provide the voice that you need. Learn more at rightteamservices.net about how we can help you tell your story. Okay, Matt, you got a couple of things for us here on the back page. I'm interested to find out here because you have some news about Georgia Southern.
I do, and that's kind of the one I'm honestly most excited to talk about. So I'm gonna maybe save that for last. I'll start by talking about Jayson Tatum returning to the Boston Celtics not quite 10 months from his ruptured Achilles, and really didn't look as rusty as I thought he would. The Celtics have won 2 games with him, including winning at Cleveland, who was playing pretty well at that time. They sort of dominated Cleveland and controlled that game from the get-go yesterday. If he's going to be able to acclimate quickly, that is bad news for the rest of the league. Even for Oklahoma City, I mean, it's a lot of people kind of forget, I think, that Boston was the darlings of the league just a couple of years ago, and last year they were defending champs, and you know how hard it is when you're defending champs. It's just you get everybody's best shot. They're in the second round of the playoffs. Indiana's kind of got them on the ropes, and then Tatum goes down, and that finishes it off. And so, just thought that was neat. It was a neat night at the Garden there for the Celtics to see Jayson Tatum coming back. But yeah, Georgia Southern, you and I talked about that Sun Belt bracket, right? Which is just a wild bracket. And we said, if you're going to win that, if you finished 11 through 14, you're going to have to win 7 games in 7 nights. Well, no one's going to do that. But if you finished 9 or 10, you were going to have to win 6 games in 6 nights. And Georgia Southern was the 10 seed. The championship is tonight. Georgia Southern's still playing. They have won 5 games in 5 nights to move into the championship game where they will face the regular season champion Troy. And I just want to put a little perspective on this because I don't know if you remember and I'm not talking about the old Big East like back in the 80s with like Patrick Ewing and Chris Mullen. I'm talking about the Big East where they were the first basketball conference to go to 16 teams. And you're talking about an elite basketball conference. This was Connecticut. This was Syracuse in its heyday with Boeheim. Louisville with Pitino was in this. You're talking about a very good Pittsburgh team, a very good Villanova team, a very good West Virginia team, Georgetown team that was very competitive. This was a high level basketball conference. And when they went to 16 teams, they were the first one to introduce this whole like, okay, we're going to have 9 through 16 play in round 1, and then the 4 winners will join 5 through 8, and then the 4 winners there will join 1 through 4. Well, Connecticut, one year as the 9 seed in the Big East, won 5 games in 5 days. Kemba Walker went on a heater. It was so funny because Connecticut was the 9 seed in the Big East tournament, and they earned a 3 seed in the national tournament. Could you imagine being the 9 seed in your conference tournament and you get a 3 seed nationally? And Connecticut just stayed hot and won the whole thing. They rolled right through it. 5 wins in 5 days to win the conference tournament. We've seen that maybe 1 or 2 times since then. We've never seen 6 games in 6 days. And Georgia Southern has a chance to do that tonight. I don't know what they're playing on, David. I don't know what they have left in the tank. But I will be tuned in, and I will be rooting hard for Georgia Southern this evening.
Can't have March Madness without a Cinderella.
Yeah.
You just can't. You know, that's the drama part of it. So, yeah, I do. I don't know. America's team might be strong, but
yeah,
as the way you describe them. But yeah, you probably do have some fans that don't really know or follow Georgia Southern that would be rooting for them tonight, just because, again, that's the reason for the season here in March, that kind of stuff. So good stuff there as always. Well, I have here to talk about on my back page. Of course, today is a big day in the NFL. It's NFL free agent, what I call Frenzy Day. Starting here, as we are recording this, of course, when we drop this, it's already going to be underway. But we're about an hour or so away from the official start of what they call legal tampering. In the NFL, you can't sign your contract or make it official until Wednesday, but they give you this 48-hour period to go ahead and agree to deals. I never have really understood the reasoning behind the timing of that. But anyway, and of course, the question I have here under NFL free agent frenzy day is: will the Cowboys or won't they? I do want to give some props and some credit. I have been a big critic on this show of Dallas and Jerry Jones and the way they run their franchise for the last 30 years. But I do want to give them some credit for resisting the temptation to overpay for Max Crosby.
Yeah.
Based on what you hear, again, nothing's official because it'll never be announced. But the Cowboys allegedly offered their number 12 pick in the draft, their first round pick this year, a second round pick next year, and Osa Odigizua to the Raiders for Max Crosby. And of course, the Ravens stepped up and ultimately won that bidding by adding a second first-round pick. So I believe that was first of all, it was a more than fair offer. Dallas stood on it and kept their two number ones, which I think is critical to this offseason for them.
Yeah.
And already today, as we've been recording this, it's been announced that they have made a trade for Rashawn Gary of the Green Bay Packers for I believe a fourth-round draft pick, if I'm reading it right here, next year's fourth-round draft pick. Bringing in a guy who has had as much as 14 sacks in a season recently, just from 3 years ago, actually, to pair him there, again, with a former coach that he's had, Christian Parker, and their new pass rush specialist coach. I believe his name is Brandon Jones. So that's the first move officially here before the actual free agent tampering period begins in an hour or so. The Cowboys moving some pieces around the board and getting ready and getting it through a trade and having to give up a fourth-round pick next year. So I think that's well worth the risk. And if you will look at that, of course, coming from the Packers, the Cowboys have received two first-round picks, Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary, and they gave up, of course, Micah Parsons and a fourth-round draft pick. That's a pretty good trade if you put it all together, right, over the last year with the Packers. So it makes me feel even better about the Micah Parsons deal.
Yeah, I agree with that. Does it make you feel weird to be applauding some of the moves they've made? Does that feel strange to you?
Look, I mean, I know I talk tough sometimes, but I really am wanting them to just be competitive. I mean, try this time of year. I don't really care if you fall on your face with your signings. Just make it exciting and keep us engaged and be a part of the process. And not wait for your rookies that you draft to be the biggest impact that you have going into next season. I fully expect that 11 o'clock they'll announce that they've re-signed their deep snapper. They've already put the tender on Brandon Aubrey, which is going to make him, I think, the third highest paid kicker rather than the top. But if he doesn't sign a deal, of course, what he's asking for is ludicrous. I'm not paying $10 million to a kicker. I don't care if he can kick 100-yard field goals.
Yeah,
it's not worth it. But yeah. So the Cowboys are off and running as are most of everyone in the NFL. Again, moving pieces around. They have restructured Terrence Steele's contract, which basically frees up about $13 million on their salary cap. Which again, that's what they're doing right now, trying to get ready for these upcoming, hopefully, big free agent spending spree. And look, people say, well, you need to go, this is why you get free agents to improve your team. No, you get free agents so you can go into the draft and not be, you can take best player available rather than, having to fill needs at number 12 and 20 where you might reach because you have to fill a spot on your roster. This is what free agency in the NFL is about. It's about filling your team out to where you can go into the draft and not feel like you have to draft a certain position when your time's on the clock. So good start to the day for the Cowboys, and we'll be anxiously watching that as the day progresses.
Yeah.
And Matt, I don't know, did you get to watch while you were doing all your basketball coverage? Did you get to watch any of the World Baseball Classic this week?
I saw highlights. I've rewatched Schwarber's at bat multiple times. That was fun.
Team USA is flexing its muscle. Of course, they're the favorites in the tournament, along with Japan, probably. Japan is the defending champion. But they flex their muscle in a somewhat weak pairing and bracket that they're in, grouping. They do get to play their probably toughest of pool play tonight when they play Mexico, which is also 2-0 and rolling through their first couple of games. But the Americans will be throwing out Paul Skeens, I believe, to start tonight. So that's a pretty good starter for that. But, man, as I've watched the games over the weekend and the highlights, there's so much drama. There's been walk-offs. There's been excitement. It kind of has a feel of an Olympic event / World Cup to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really big into the World Cup per se, but I've watched enough to see the excitement and the drama that goes in with that. And I kind of feel that right now with baseball, which, again, it's amazing to me that this is no longer an Olympic sport with this kind of support.
Yeah, it really is.
Packed out ballparks and it's just an extension of the Olympics here. And it kind of brought me up to this question I wanted to present to you to see what you thought about it. With everything I'm watching here, is maybe baseball the world's second most popular sport? I know technically around the world it's soccer, right? Is
right.
The U.S. is the world's most popular sport. But I mean, when you watch what the World Baseball Classic is bringing, I mean, I think it's conceivable to say that baseball could make an argument that is the world's second most popular sport while maybe here at home, maybe being the third, some areas maybe the fourth, right?
Yeah.
And we invented baseball.
I know.
What has happened to the game? And we've talked about that, but it's no longer, of course, the NFL has just outdistanced it. It's not even with the same zip code.
No.
And in many areas, the NBA is considered more popular. Particularly among young people. And with the rise in hockey and the recent gold medal, you'd have to say that has a chance of, at least on a popularity standpoint, matching baseball, particularly with what's about to happen maybe here in the next year or so when they shut everything down. So, I don't know. I think it's what do you think about that? Just off the top of your head about maybe it being the world's second most popular sport, but certainly not here at home.
Yeah, I would agree. It is wildly popular over in Japan. You get into the Caribbean countries and Central America, very, very popular. I don't know about Europe, although there is, I will say, a former Marshall High School player who was raised in our church, Jonathan Marshall, who played professionally for many years in Germany. So I know there is some level of interest in Europe as well. But I mean, just the sheer volume of players from the Caribbean and from Japan that are coming over to play in Major League Baseball would let you know that, and not only coming over, but they're in many cases doing well, in some cases dominating Major League Baseball. I mean, you don't have a question, right, as to who the most dominant player in Major League Baseball is right now, and he's from Japan. So I feel like that.
I don't think he's worth what he makes from a salary.
Well, sure.
Very
I don't
few
know
are.
but I think you're exactly right. I don't think I have no questions about that assertion. I would put baseball number 2.